It becomes more difficult for us to trust God because of our preconceived expectations of God have led to a crisis of faith. See, beginning in verse 13, now on that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, and talking with each other about all these things that had happened. While they were talking and discussing, Jesus himself came near and went with them. As they were talking to Jesus about what had transpired, not knowing who Jesus was, on their Emmaus journey, Cleopas said in verse 21, we had hoped that he would be the one to redeem Israel.
Right.
That's a crisis of faith, my friends. See, part of their crisis may have resulted in Jesus not being the military Messiah that they had anticipated. Because that verse actually translates, we had hoped that he would be the one to set Israel free. They were looking for someone to redeem Israel by overthrowing Rome. But God, through Jesus, was looking for someone to redeem humankind by overthrowing evil through the ultimate reality of love. One of the reasons they're on the Emmaus journey and why we are sometimes on the Emmaus journey is due to the fact that God did not do what they thought God was supposed to do in a manner they thought God was supposed to do. They thought Jesus would be the one to redeem Israel the way they defined it.
Right.
And when it didn't happen, crisis of faith. I thought Jesus would put my marriage back together as I had envisioned it.
Right.
Crisis of faith. I thought Jesus would take away my fear, my doubt, my uncertainty without any participation on my part. Crisis of faith. When we're on the Emmaus journey, we are not there because of our disappointment in life. We are ultimately there because of our disappointment in God. Notice that nowhere does the text say that these two express disappointment in God, but their actions send a different message, just as our actions will when we're on our Emmaus journey. The Emmaus journey is not for those who do not believe. It is reserved for those who have been disappointed because they do believe. One is not disappointed in their children because they don't believe in them. You're disappointed in your children for the very fact that you do believe in them. We may not ever say it out loud that we're disappointed in God, but our actions will say it for us by setting our feet firmly on the Emmaus journey, telling us this is the only available option in dealing with our profound disappointment. But we must also acknowledge that everyone has an Emmaus journey. We all have something that makes us feel we must walk away from our hopes and our aspirations, just as these two walked 7 miles from Jerusalem, but thousands of miles away in their heart and soul. We all have something for which the pain is too great, the disappointment too deep, and the failure too strong. But in walking away from Jerusalem toward the village known as Emmaus, these two were also walking away from God's blessings. Right. See, there is no resurrection, no grace, there is no mercy, there is no love in the direction they are headed.
Right.
See, in order to embark on the Emmaus journey, the capacity for love in our heart must decrease. Our hope must diminish, and our belief that second chances must be replaced by the disheartening feeling that this road represents our only lot in life.
That's right.
But when we make the decision to get on the Emmaus road, we're not simply walking away from our disappointments. See, the difficult challenge for us is to remember that love is often intertwined with hate. Grace is intertwined with cruelty. Hope is intertwined with hopelessness. And what is possible is intertwined with what's impossible. Can't have joy and not know sorrow. Can't have encouragement and not know frustration. Can't have resurrection unless we experience death. See, though Jerusalem of Jesus' death, it's also the place of his resurrection. And it's still the holy city, representing the good and bad intertwined. And because these things are often intertwined, to get on the Emmaus journey so that we can leave the pain, the setback, and tragedy is to also walk away from ubiquitous joy, the bountiful blessings, and the lasting peace found in Jesus' love. The other problem presented when we get on the Emmaus road, it becomes more difficult to recognize Jesus.
Right.
While they were talking and discussing, I would add commiserating, Jesus himself came near and went with them, but their eyes kept them from recognizing who he truly was. But the thing to remember here, Jesus had already been resurrected. The two on the Emmaus journey were in need of resurrection. Their pain put them on that 7-mile trek. Their disappointment led them to conclude that God had let them down.
Right.
And it is hard for folk who have not been resurrected to see resurrection in those who have. See, when we're on the Emmaus journey blinded by disappointment, it becomes difficult to see Jesus at a time that we need to see him most. For our purposes, however, we don't need to see Jesus with our eyes as much as we need to see him with our hearts. If pain and disappointment cause us to close off our hearts, we will be unable to see Jesus, unable to realize hope, unable to discover second chances, unable to feel his comfort at the most critical hour. And if those conditions render us unable to see Jesus, we might miss the fact that Jesus is still present even when we travel on the Emmaus journey. That's the thing to remember. They may have been walking away, but Jesus didn't walk away from them. We may walk away from the pain, the heartache, the setbacks, and the disappointment, but Jesus does not walk away from us. Amen. We may not recognize him right away. When we're in need of resurrection, but he is there. He may walk ahead of us, but we always have the option to call him back, and as the text tells us, he will return. He meets us on the Emmaus road with our hurts and our fears, our regrets and our remorse, undaunted by our desires to walk away from the place of pain to provide us with love, grace, and mercy. But the good news for us in these two traveling on the Emmaus journey is that they finally got it. Doesn't matter how long it took, they got it. It may have taken them longer than St. Mary, who recognized Jesus a lot quicker. Each of us, when on our Emmaus journey, will see the resurrected Jesus differently. We may see him at different times. It may take some of you all quicker than it does me, but we all have the opportunity to get it. Yeah. And more importantly, there is no statute of limitations on when you get it.
Right.
The good news, however long it takes, Jesus will walk with us until we recognize who he is. The text reminds us that hope is there for anyone traveling on the Emmaus journey. Hope is there when our faith is low. Hope is there when we feel that we've been down more times than we're up. Hope is there even when we can't see it or feel it. Hope is there because Jesus walks with us even when we're on that Emmaus journey, blinded to who he is. But as strange as it may be, the Emmaus journey with all of its disappointments, setbacks, and frustration is not to be avoided. It is to be embraced with courage. Right. Remember, ours is a faith that Amen. Demands courage.
Amen. Amen.
It is on the Emmaus journey where hope is actualized, joy is recognized, and peace is realized. It is on the Emmaus journey where we can have a little talk with Jesus and tell him all about our troubles. Right. It is on the Emmaus journey where we can discover for ourselves that it is well with our soul. It is on the Emmaus journey where we can learn firsthand about God's amazing grace. It is on the Emmaus journey where we can be healed, where we can be blessed, where we can be redeemed, where we can be transformed, where we can be forgiven, where we can be fortified, glorified, magnified, dignified, where they that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength goes from a text to a testimony. Yeah. It is on the Emmaus Journey where my grace is sufficient becomes the inverted order of God, because God's strength is made manifest in our weakness, in our faults, in our mistakes, in our disappointments, and in our failures. Amen. It is on the Emmaus Journey where love, hope, peace, joy, and humility become part of our spiritual DNA. Amen. That's why we say, through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus.
That's right.
I've learned to trust in God. Through every dark night, through every valley, through every Emmaus journey, through many dangers, toils, and snares, we've already come.
Yes.
It's grace that has brought us safe thus far.
Amen. That's right.
And it's grace.
Yes.
God's grace.
Yes.
Amazing grace.
Yes.
Even while we're on the Emmaus journey, that will see us home.
Amen.
Have a good week, brothers.
Amen.
Let us stand.